Zug Island sits in the Detroit River. Most people in Detroit have seen it. Few have stepped on it, and for decades, almost no one was allowed to. If you're interested in documented Great Lakes history, the industrial, environmental, and human stories hidden in plain sight, subscribe before we begin. Because Zug Island isn't a myth, it's real. And its history is darker than most realize. Zug Island is located at the mouth of the River Rouge, just southwest of downtown Detroit. Technically, it's within the city limits, but it has never functioned like a normal part of the city. Originally, it wasn't even an island. In the late 1800s, developers cut a canal through marshland to improve shipping access, separating the landmass from the mainland. The result was an artificial island positioned strategically along one of the busiest industrial waterways in North America. By the early 20th century, Zug Island had become industrial property. Blast furnaces, coke ovens, steel production, rail lines. It became part of Detroit's heavy industrial corridor, closely tied to U.S. steel and the auto industry's demand for raw materials. For decades, Zug Island operated as a restricted industrial site. No public access, no residential neighborhoods, no parks, just steel. The skyline of Zug Island was defined by smokestacks and furnaces that burned day and night. The air around the River Rouge industrial zone was thick with particulate matter. Residents in nearby communities often described metallic smells, orange glows in the sky at night, and low-frequency vibrations that seemed to hum through buildings. By the mid-20th century, Zug Island had become one of the most active steel production sites in the region and one of the most isolated. Security was tight, entry was restricted, photography was limited. The island existed in public view but beyond public reach. Over time, rumors began to circulate. Strange sounds, unexplained vibrations, bright flashes. The most famous of these reports emerged in the early 2010s when residents in nearby River Rouge in southwest Detroit reported mysterious low-frequency hums and ground vibrations. Some described it as a distant engine running non-stop. Others said it felt like a pressure wave. Local authorities investigated. Seismologists were brought in. Studies suggested industrial activity, specifically blast furnace operations, as the likely source. When blast furnaces were temporarily idled, the vibrations reportedly decreased. But for years, the Zug Island hum became part of local lore. It wasn't supernatural, it was industrial. But that didn't make it less unsettling. Zug Island also carries environmental weight. Decades of steel production leave behind more than buildings. The River Rouge and Detroit River corridor became heavily contaminated through the 20th century. Sediment pollution, airborne particulates, and industrial runoff affected surrounding ecosystems. The Detroit River was later designated an area of concern under the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement due to contamination levels. Zug Island was part of that industrial footprint. In 2020, U.S. Steel announced it would idle its Great Lakes Works blast furnace operations on Zug Island. After more than a century of continuous heavy industry, the furnaces went quiet. For the first time in generations, the skyline darkened. The island remains largely restricted today. Private property, industrial infrastructure still present. No public tours, no open access, which contributes to the mystique. But the true story of Zug Island isn't paranormal. It's industrial America in concentrated form. It represents the rise of steel, the growth of Detroit, the cost of rapid industrialization, the environmental consequences of production, and the strange isolation of a place visible to millions but inaccessible to almost all of them. There are no abandoned neighborhoods there, no hidden military bases, no secret laboratories. What it holds are blast furnaces, rail yards, storage piles, and decades of industrial residue. And something else: silence. When the furnaces ran, Zug Island was loud. Now, parts of it are quiet. The future of the island remains uncertain. Redevelopment is complicated. Environmental remediation takes time. Industrial zoning limits options. For now, it stands as a monument to a different era. An era when smoke signaled prosperity, when steel production defined regional power, when environmental cost was rarely discussed. Zug Island hides no supernatural secrets, but it does hide history behind fences, and sometimes restricted places feel mysterious simply because they are closed. If you want more documented Great Lakes history where industry, environment, and urban myth intersect, subscribe. Some islands are tropical, some are abandoned, and some are built from steel, smoke, and a century of work most people never saw.